A stray puppy keeps following Keanu Reeves, but with his busy schedule, he doesn't think he has time to care for a dog. What he did next will melt your heart. Keanu Reeves first noticed the puppy one unusually cool autumn evening while walking through his Los Angeles neighborhood. Lost in thought as he strolled his usual route, he suddenly sensed a small presence trailing behind him. Turning around, he saw the little dog, a scruffy, brown-coated pup with dirt patches clinging to its fur and ribs faintly visible beneath its skinny frame. At first, Keanu thought it might belong to someone nearby, but the street was empty, and it was hard to imagine anyone allowing their dog to get this painfully thin. As he continued walking, the puppy followed a few tentative steps behind, hesitant yet hopeful. Keanu didn't realize it then, but this was the start of a life-changing companionship. Over the next few days, the puppy became a familiar presence. No matter where Keanu walked or how unpredictable his schedule was, the scrappy little dog was always there, keeping a few paces behind. As its confidence grew, it began walking alongside him, its tiny legs moving fast to match his long strides. This wasn't a chance meeting, it was clear the puppy had chosen him. It watched him with a quiet loyalty that tugged at his heart. Sometimes, Keanu would crouch down, trying to get a closer look. The puppy would cautiously approach, its tail wagging tentatively, accepting the gentle pats and small treats Keanu started bringing just for it. But every time Keanu touched the pup's delicate frame, he was reminded of how thin and fragile it was. Despite its friendliness, the puppy was wary, as though unsure how to accept kindness. Its life on the streets had been harsh, and it showed. Keanu didn't want to take the puppy away if it belonged to someone, so he began cautiously asking around. He stopped the few familiar faces in his quiet neighborhood to describe the scruffy little dog. The answer was always the same. No one recognized it. Some neighbors recalled seeing a flash of brown darting around corners or slinking by fences, always keeping its distance. This little stray had lingered on the edges of people's lives, never letting anyone get close, until now. For reasons Keanu couldn't understand, the puppy had chosen him as the one human it trusted. Keanu found himself thinking about the puppy constantly. He imagined its life, wandering the streets of Los Angeles, facing hunger and uncertainty every day. The more he thought about it, the more he worried. This wasn't the life this puppy deserved. It needed warmth, care, and love. But Keanu's schedule didn't allow him to care for a dog. He worked long hours, traveled frequently, and didn't think he could provide the attention and stability the puppy needed. One evening, after another walk with the faithful puppy trailing him home, Keanu made a difficult decision. Though it pained him, he decided to take it to a nearby animal shelter with a strong reputation for kindness. He believed the shelter could find the puppy a loving home where it could thrive. That night, Keanu gently coaxed the puppy to follow him further than usual, leading it to the shelter. As they approached, the puppy seemed to sense something was different. Keanu knelt down, giving the little dog one last gentle pat on its scruffy head before handing it over to the shelter staff. His heart ached as they carried the puppy inside, but they assured him it would be cared for and loved. In the days that followed, Keanu couldn't stop thinking about the puppy. Each walk without it felt lonelier. He missed its quiet companionship and the way it looked up at him with those soft, trusting eyes. He began to wonder if he'd made a mistake. One night, after hours of tossing and turning, Keanu decided he couldn't ignore the feeling any longer. Early the next morning, he called the shelter, his heart racing. He just hoped the puppy was still there. The staff recognized him immediately. "He's been quiet," they said, "not as playful as the others. It's like he's waiting for someone special." They explained how the puppy perked up whenever someone approached, only to seem disappointed when it wasn't the person it wanted. That was all Keanu needed to hear. He asked if he could visit the puppy, already certain he wouldn't be leaving the shelter alone. When he arrived, he saw the little dog curled up in the corner of its kennel, looking smaller and lonelier than ever. But as Keanu approached, the puppy's head lifted, and recognition sparked in its eyes. In an instant, it leaped to its feet, tail wagging furiously, its whole body vibrating with joy. Keanu knelt by the gate, and the puppy pressed its nose to his hand, its eyes shining with pure happiness. He's never reacted like this to anyone else, a staff member said, touched by the scene. At that moment, Keanu knew he couldn't lead without the puppy. He finalized the adoption paperwork that day, officially bringing the little dog, now named Peanut, home. From that day forward, Peanut was Keanu's faithful companion. Despite his busy schedule, Keanu found ways to make it work. Peanut traveled with him to film sets, coffee shops, and everywhere in between, always by his side. Peanut thrived in his new home. His once scruffy coat grew shiny, his thin frame filled out, and his playful spirit returned. Neighbors who had once seen him as a shy stray were amazed at the transformation. Keanu had given Peanut a second chance at life, but what no one realized was how much Peanut had given him in return. The little dog brought him joy, peace, and companionship in a way he hadn't experienced before. Now it's your turn. What do you think of this story? Do you know other heartwarming stories of stray animals finding their forever homes? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.